GameStop's stock price is skyrocketing again, and loads of hedge funds are losing billions of dollars because of a single post on X. Give me a few minutes of your time and I'll explain everything you need to know about GameStop and this massive rise in stock price. And I mean everything, dating back to 2021. First of all, there's some important definitions that you need to understand. GameStop is an American retail store that sells video games, electronics, and collectibles. And short selling is pretty much when you make a bet that a stock will fail. Let's imagine we've got a character called Sid.
What's up, my mammals?
Sid finds a lender to borrow some shares from, and he promises to give them back to the lender in the future. So for simplicity, let's say he borrows 5 shares, and overall they're worth $50, and he has to return them within a month. After borrowing these shares, he then goes and sells them for $50. And if everything goes according to Sid's plan, GameStop's stock price will go down and he'll be able to buy them back for less than $50. And he'll make a profit. He then gives the 5 shares back to the lender and keeps the profit for himself. But if the stock price goes up, then he'll have to pay extra out of his own pocket to make up for the difference. So he'll lose money. So now that you understand that, let's begin our story. So back in 2020, hedge fund firms like Melvin Capital were mass shorting GameStop's stock. And because these shorts were flooding the market with shares in such high quantity, it made the stock look like it was low value. And because the value of GameStop went down, the regular people who just wanted to support their favorite company ended up losing money because their shares were now worthless. And the billionaires who ran the hedge funds, well, they gained money, billions from the company's downfall. And after a while, these hedge funds started shorting more shares of GameStop than actually existed in the market. So overall, they had shorted 140% of shares of GameStop. A man called Keith Gill went under the name Roaring Kitty online. And he noticed that these hedge funds owed 40% more than existed to these lenders. And because of this, he assumed that GameStop's stock would inevitably go up. And so he made a video in July 2020 sharing his findings to the world. And he had invested $53,000 of his own money, which was all he had at the time. And a community on Reddit called Wall Street Bets started mass purchasing GameStop stocks in January 2021. Keith built a cult-like following who was willing to put all their money into this stock, as long as Keith kept putting his in. And as a result, the value of GameStop started to skyrocket. It went up by 2,300%. And since these hedge fund firms were on a time limit to return these shares back to the lenders, they had to buy the shares back at a much higher price than they sold them for originally. So they had to take money out of their own pocket, billions of dollars, and they lost it all. Overall, hedge fund firms lost almost $20 billion from these Reddit users. Robinhood was the main stockbroker platform that these investors were using to invest their money with. And they saved the hedge funds from going further into debt by taking away users' ability to purchase GameStop stock. And they only allowed them to sell. Also, the Wall Street Bets community on Reddit got shut down. So these investors could no longer communicate with each other and motivate each other to hold on to their investment. But most importantly, they lost contact with Roaring Kitty. And they didn't know if he had sold or if he had kept his investment. So everyone started panic selling because they didn't want to lose their money. And the value of GameStop has been diminishing ever since. And now we fast forward to today. Roaring Kitty has returned from the grave and he posted a single image on X, which sparked some interesting events. Basically, it was just a simple image of a gamer going from a slouch position to a more serious position. This was a way of saying it's time to get serious again. And after this post on the 13th of May, GameStop's stock started skyrocketing again, and it went up by 1700%. As you can see from this graph of GameStop's stock, there are two separate spikes. And here's what caused them both, from what I've gathered. The first spike was caused by Roaring Kitty with that first X post, and he catapulted us back to 2021. And the second spike was caused by the Tate brothers, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. See, they put $1 million of their own money in, willing to lose it all, and they've been encouraging their fans to do the same. So why is Roaring Kitty back after all this time? GameStop's stock has been showing some sharp spikes, signalling that these hedge funds have started shorting the stock again. Because for some reason they haven't learned their lesson from last time. So we can only assume that Keith saw this, and he decided to return for a second fight. An endgame, if you will. And as for the Tate brothers, they found it hilarious that Keith was screwing over these evil billionaires, and they decided to join in. They're convincing their viewers to put money in too, by educating them on all the bad things that these hedge funds are doing. To summarise, this is a revolution to take down these evil corporations that are stealing money from the average people. Anyway, if you learned something from this video, make sure to subscribe, it helps me out a lot. Check out my next video here, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.